against our 103. Our neighbors, Thailand, Indonesia, almost 3 times ours. Vietnam, nakakaahon pa lang. Is already, and Malaysia is already almost 2 times ours. Why? Why do foreign investors shun away from the Philippines? And in the last 4 years, pababa ng pababa ang foreign investments natin. Compare it to Vietnam and Indonesia, na during the same period, pataas ng pataas. Bakit?
Government.
Wala tayong credibility. Kung ikaw naman mag-i-invest, di ba? Is my money safe? Lalagay ko sa isang bansa. And the first principle that people look at is yung legal risk, social risk, bago ang financial risk. Tinitingnan yung pa mga batas dyan, stable. O baka pabago-bago.
Ay, naku. Not stable at all.
That is the problem with us. May batas nga, hindi naman sinusunod. At nagbabago, depende kung sino ang humihingi ng desisyon. That is why our credibility in foreign investors is quite low. So that is our state. It is improving a little because among all the departments of our current government, at least consistent ang economic managers natin. They're competent, unlike the other cabinet secretaries that were appointed merely because of they're coming from the same region. No basis for competence. That's improving. That's changing. But I would like to share with you the simple ways of understanding where we are. First of all, we have to understand that in economics today, the world, our economy, not the world economy, is basically debt-based economy. Because ang pera natin is created, the entire monetary system of the world is based on debt, utang. And so the fate of the people using the currency is not based on anything concrete, but just on faith. Believe ka sa nag-issue ng pera. Money itself does not mean anything. It's our belief that this money can be used to buy things. So whoever controls the money distribution determines the future and determines our opportunities. So it's very important that the people who govern us, people we choose, they will be in charge of money distribution. We better be sure that their values are correct and it does not focus and get concentrated on their self-interest. So let's go to the simple ways of understanding our economy. And I get this idea from the former Secretary of NEDA, Cielito Abito. Sinasabi niya, isipin lang natin pitik. All of us understand the word pitik. Sa economy, it is presyo, trabaho, at kita ng gobyerno. Pitik. So, titignan natin ngayon, where are we today economically? Ano tingin niyo sa presyo? Magkano na ba ngayon ang bigas? Magkano na asin? Magkano na asukal? Magkano bahay? When we were graduating, the dream of owning a house and lot was very, very achievable. Today, you're graduating with the salary that you can expect to have, even with a good salary. Your ability to buy your own house and lot in the city is very, very much challenged. Why? Because yung presyo ng real assets ay sobra ng taas. Sobra ng taas. Dati ang low-cost housing, 150,000. Just less than a decade ago. 150,000, 200,000, may low-cost housing ka. At 80,000 nga nun, may low-cost housing ka na. Today, ang low-cost housing, almost 1 million. Low-cost housing yun. So yan ang inflation na tinatawag. Trabaho, anong situation ng trabaho? Our unemployment is very, very high. 8%, ilang million siya. Almost 12 million Filipinos, 14 million ang unemployed. Sobrang dami. And the fortunate thing happening is nagbabago ngayon. Agriculture employment is going up, industry is starting to go up again. Pero at a lower base. The important thing is, nag-i-improve. So there's a lot of hope. Even yung kita, yung tinatawag GDP ng government, pataas na rin. Ang OFW remittances, hindi nagbago, pataas pa rin. Bakit? Bakit? Among all the workers abroad, the Filipino is the most appreciated. The Filipino is the most appreciated. Some of the reasons are very basic. If you talk to Europeans and other Middle Eastern people, ang Filipino malinis. Masyadong caregiving ang mindset. So if they have to reduce their foreign workers, the workers that are first reduced, taken out, are non-Filipinos. Naiiwan ang Filipinos. The preference is still on Filipinos. This is why the OFW remittance has not really gone down significantly in spite of the pandemic. Bumaba, true, pero hindi ganun kababa. But the most worrying condition today is our tinatawag nilang hunger and poverty, which has created two problems. Malnutrition. 31% now of our children are malnourished. Kaya stunted. Hindi na kung ang average height ay 5 or 5'2", ngayon 4'11". Hindi na umaangat, hindi tumatangkad ang mga bata kulang sa dahil sa nutrition. Secondly, the brain power is affected, and the result is seen in the economic surveys. Ang Filipino student ranks the lowest among 30 countries that they survey in terms of absorption of learning, quality of education, quality of learning. And that has to do a lot with malnutrition. Again, economic ang source. Kulang sa nourishment ang ating mga bata. The problem is there. The government sees it. Some efforts are being conducted, but kulang pa. We need to put in more resources into this education and health and nourishment. Question is, do we have enough money? The answer is yes, kung walang corruption. Because more than 30% of our budget goes to corruption, to buy things that are not helpful to the vast majority of Filipinos. And the solution there is choose the right governance. So what is the role of this year's national election? Every election year, tumataas ang kita ng gobyerno because of election spending. So in that sense, this year, tataas ang kita ng gobyerno. Is that good? Yes. Is that good long term? Not really, dahil 1 year lang yan. We need to be able to sustain that. Yung kita natin during election year, on average for the last 20 years, 30 years, 6.2% daw ang taas, ang growth rate ng ating bayan every election year versus 5% pag hindi election year. And for every percent, it means 184,000 pesos per person ang nawawala sa atin o nadadagdag sa atin. In other words, bawat sa atin with our would be wealthier by 180,000 pesos for every 1% nag-i-increase ang government GDP. So yun lang isipin natin. 180,000, that's roughly 15,000, 14,000 a month for every 1% increase in GDP. So ang susi is how the government executes its economic programs. This is where I would like to emphasize. Having a program is not the same as achieving or doing or executing the program. Walang iba yan kung hindi a teacher goes to a classroom, may lesson plan siya, pero hindi naman niya ina-execute yung lesson plan niya. Nagkikwento lang siya when he or she is inside the classroom. It's the same thing with government. Every day, we hear all these government officials telling us, look at our program. Galing. Problema, ini-execute ba? So programs to me are not as important as the ability and credibility of the leader to execute. So who will execute? This year is national election. We will need to choose the team that will execute any program. That means the president and his team. How the wealth is distributed largely result because from the choices that we make as to who will run our government. Ganyan ka-importante ang choice natin in this coming election. What we need today is leaders who have true commitment. This is a slide I got from Secretary Abito. We want a true commitment to sustain reform. Commitment ng mga leaders offering themselves to us as leaders. Sino sa kanila ang credible that can execute and give us sustained growth? More infrastructure, padaliin ang investments, bawasan ang regulatory issues, at bawasan ang corruption. Huwag na natin sabihin mawala. Bawasan. Malaking bawas. That is what we're looking for the leaders today, among other things. And dapat yung kanilang mga programa involve yung solving the malnutrition and educational issues. And to establish a credibility for new direct investments from abroad. That is the challenge to the leaders, and the challenge to us is sino sa kanila will have the best chances or the most credible leader to do this. Yan ang challenge sa atin ngayon. Huwag tayo magpadala sino popular, sino ang kilala, sino yung magaling magsalita, sino yung madaing pera, kung hindi yung sino ang makaka-execute for the greater number of Filipinos. Yung obligation natin to ourselves this time, sa yung mga graduating students, scholars, this national election is your first serious challenge, or more correctly, your first real opportunity to shape your future. I will say it again. This is your first real opportunity niya. Make a choice, the right choice, because that choice will shape your future. And I cannot overemphasize that. The candidates you choose must be a true servant leader who can and will execute the pitik that we need, who can execute the programs na magresulta ng stable presyo, maayos na trabaho, at ginhawa at kita ng gobyerno. How then? Paano natin i-evaluate ang mga kandidato?